Buenos dias and welcome back to another video, my friends. I hope that you're staying healthy and I hope that you're staying safe wherever you are in the world. Today on the channel, I want to talk about this Canon Mount Adapter that fits on the R5, the R6, as well as this R. And I want to adapt 4 different EF lenses and we're going to shoot some photography with them today. Let's go. There are 3 things to consider that will not work or are limited when using this mount adapter. If you have a pre-2011 super telephoto lens, it will not work. 2011 and up, you're good to go. If you have a 35 to 80 millimeter power zoom, that lens will not work with this with this mount adapter. And then finally, some EFS lenses will have trouble utilizing some of the video features in the camera. Outside of that, the rest of the lenses are good to go. All right, just a couple reasons why the EF mount is a perfect complement to the Canon EOS R, R5, or R6, and that is there is a grand assortment of lenses. Since created, or the first mount was in 1987, you have tons of lenses that have been produced over time, and some on the lower or less expensive side of things, and then there are some high-priced lenses, but you can find those mid-tier lenses and get really good images from those lenses, almost as well as the RF lenses, I would say. And that's what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna start with the Canon EF 85mm 1.4 lens, and we're just gonna take some shots out here in the mini redwoods of Carbon Canyon in Brea, California. So the 85 lens is typically a portrait lens. We're gonna use it as such, but we're not gonna shoot a human subject. We're actually gonna shoot the camera that is filming me right now. So Wes has got it all set up for me, dialed in. We have 1/640th of a second because we're in a little bit of a dark area, 1.4 ISO 125. So one thing I want you to know about this video, a lot of the image that I shoot today, at least one from each of these lenses, is going to be posted down in the description. All you have to do is go down to the link and download each image and then process it yourself and let me know what you thought. All right, we're gonna get real intimate on this bark from the overgrowth of the redwood tree. So I am at 1/200th of a second. I'm wide open at 1.4 and I'm at ISO 125. Now we're gonna go ahead and put on the 70-200. This was actually featured in my last video, so you can watch that. That's down in the description below or on the screen now. And let's get a couple shots with this lens. So much like the RF 70-200, this is very much a signature lens for the EF family of lenses. So you're gonna get a really nice lens if you wanna go this route instead of spending the money right now for an RF 70-200. Another nice EF lens is the 16 to 35 millimeter 2.8, and it shoots a nice wide image. So if you need it, or you can punch into still wide at 35 millimeter. So I'm going to go ahead and focus on this little sunflower right here. And it's got a little movement to it, so I'm going to bump up the shutter speed to 1/500th. I'm wide open at 2.8, and I'm going to pull up the ISO a little bit, ISO 200, but I want a little bit of the color in the sky. The sun is starting to set and go down, but we got a little bit of kind of the orangish glow way out in the back, and see if we can recover that in the final shot. So here we go. Lovely. That was actually a nice shot. I liked it a lot. So my final shot on the 16 to 35 is this little brush area, kind of dried out, but I like that there's sunflowers in the back kind of popping through. I don't think those are gonna come out in the scene, but they might give some contrast, and there's some contrasty color to this more abstract image. All right. All right, I know I lied. I said this was the last image, the last one. I'm gonna put the 24 to 105 on here in a second, but I just love the darkness of some of the shrub here, and just the scene has so much contrast and variation right in front of me. I just gotta shoot it. I just gotta do it. All right, that one was shot wide open, but that's a mistake. I'm going to go to f11, but I'm gonna have to pull down the shutter speed, and I'm gonna bump the ISO just a tad here. All right, here we go. Oh, you're gonna love this image. At least I do. So, I'm not as young as I once was, and as you can tell, I'm breathing a little hard, but I mean, come on, I think anybody will be breathing hard. One more shot, one more shot. For my last image, I'm going to put on the 24 to 105, and if you don't know by now, and if you've been watching this channel just for a little bit, you'll know that I love the RF version of the 24 to 105. So if you're gonna start with any lens, in my opinion, and you want a versatile lens that can do most everything just with one lens, on the R, the R5 or the R6, it's the RF 24 to 105. But right now, I'm gonna go ahead and slap on this EF 24 to 105. All right, so this is my final shot. Sun is dipping into the west there, and I'm gonna expose for the background. I'm gonna leave the foreground a little bit dark, and then we can try to bring that back in post if possible, but the focus is gonna be the striations and those nice purples and oranges in the background, and see what we can recover in the foreground. So I am at 1/320th of a second. I am at f11, ISO 1600, focused in the sun area. And ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna take these back to the studio and we'll work on them there. All right, y'all, we are back in the studio, and by now you've seen all the images that I edited. Now I just want to share and edit two of my favorites with you guys and kind of recreate what you saw in the video and why I edited it the way that I did. So let's jump into the image that I want to edit with you guys just real quickly. And so I'm gonna go ahead and reset this image. And so this image was definitely cropped. I wanted to crop it more to a portrait orientation rather than having it landscape. And I wanted to give it a little bit of more of a golden orangey feel to it. And that was just my kind of artistic take on it. So I've been doing something a little bit different, almost experimental, if you will, with my images. So auto seemed to take it to a place where I wanted it. Again, I'm going to put as shot. It's very subtle, so auto, or you could even go daylight. Daylight gets it in that kind of orangey feel already. The sky's a little bit blown out, so I talked about in the video if we could recover this. I don't think we can get much out of this, but you get just a hint of that color that's in the back. So, and that's okay. That's why I think I ended up going portrait, so there's not as much sky to worry about, and you're focused more on the flower and the bouquet of the rest of those sunflowers in the back. And so, yeah, I'm just going to pull down the highlights just a tad, bump up the shadows just a tad. And then what I'm going to do is just simply edit the rest of it with the calibration section of the develop area. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up these reds a little bit. And you can see what it does. It's either, you can either pull them down. Actually, I'm going to pull them down and get in that orange tint. You can see it starts to pull that orange from the center, and then I'm going to saturate it a little bit more. You can see the difference that it's, so I'm just going to leave it right about there. Then we're going to take the greens and we're going to pull the greens towards the right and then saturate those a little bit so it starts to kind of lift itself from the back there. And then the blue, the primary hue, we're going to go ahead and bring it to the left. Oh yeah, I love how it's already getting that orange feel. And then how much we saturated, not too much. And that's gonna about do it. And then what I want to do is go ahead and crop this. I'm gonna put it in this orientation and bring it over so the flower is right about there, kind of all the way in, and pretty much done. I could definitely come in here, warm this up if I wanted to a little bit more, but I really like, for the most part, how it is here. And that's my sunflower edit using mostly the calibration section in the develop module. Now let's edit my other favorite photo of this video, and that is of this kind of messy scene. And let's start with a gradient filter. We're going to go ahead and pull that down. We're going to take the exposure and drop it just until we start seeing this kind of blue hue, and you kind of getting it there. If we start pulling it down, you're going to start seeing a slight tint of those kind of pinkish skies right in here. So we'll go ahead and leave that. We're going to go ahead and bring up the contrast a little bit and pull down the highlights. There we go. Let's actually pull down the gradient filter. Yes, there we go. Remember, we were already pushing sunset here and moving into blue hour. So we could mess with the whites a little bit, kind of lighten that up. Bring down the blacks a touch to give them an outline. Start getting those small thin layers of clouds an outline. Push up the texture just a little bit in that area. Pull down the clarity and dehaze it just a tad. There, it came into, I really like just the subtleness of that. Then done there. And then the next thing I'm going to do, I'm really just going to take a brush and I'm going to just burn this whole bottom area. I'm just going to burn all of this and just kind of get into this area here and just kind of darken it up and just kind of let it pop from the top side. And it's, again, very subtle. I'm not trying to do a lot. Yeah, and you're starting to see how much color is actually going to be in here once we do a couple other things, but this is allowing it to be as dark as we need it. Alright, so that's enough. And then I'm going to click done there. Now I'm going to head over to the calibration section of the develop module, and I'm going to take my red primary and I'm going to bring it to the right just slightly and then saturate that a little bit. Yep, just like that. I'm going to take the green primary. Now you could really mess with these greens. You can see if I go far left, it gets a little too crazy. So we're going to just go to the right and let those greens and yellows kind of contrast each other or allow them to pop. Yeah, I like that so far. So remember, this is the original. This is where we're at now. So I'm really liking where this is taking shape. No, I don't want to change the sky to purple. I just want to, right there is good. yeah, darken it up just a bit, but not much. Okay, I think voila, I'm done. I'm happy with that. I love the contrast from the sky to the bottom of the image, and then just all the different variances of greens and browns and yellows in the bottom. That's gonna do it, y'all. I hope that you had a good time out there with me on location. I appreciate you guys hanging. So I've got to give it up for the Canon Mount Adapter. It's worth its weight in gold. You can adapt most any EF lens to the R5, the R6, and the Canon EOS R, and that provides you with a lot of firepower with all the new RF lenses combined or in combination with the EF lenses. The sky's the limit. All right, that's gonna do it, everybody. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed. I'd appreciate you joining the Buenos Dias Imagery family. Please like this video if it provided you any value. I would certainly appreciate it. Ring that bell to notify you of new videos when they are released. And of course, comment down below. I love chatting with you all. All right, until the next one, I love y'all. Peace. If I can get the lens out, here we go. And I look like I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, that's why it's, oh, that sucked. Because the damn adapter's not on it.
That's the whole point of the video, Bobo.
Yeah, it's the adapter.